Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rarely do this, but I have to say that in the 108-year history of the Federal Reserve, there has never been one Hispanic appointed to the Federal Reserve. Not one to the regional banks, to head the regional banks. Recently, the Federal Reserve had the opportunity to change that history. It had 2 qualified candidates. It didn't choose one of them. 60 million Americans of Hispanic descent, 18.4% of the American population, $2.3 trillion of domestic GDP, and the Federal Reserve is making major decisions about this community as well as America as a whole, and yet we have no voice. Now, my friends at the Federal Reserve like to tell me that I should have faith, but faith that hasn't been rewarded, faith that ultimately doesn't lead us to see a change in the course of events after a century, and faith also in those who are making these appointments where there was an opportunity to make appointments that would reflect the full diversity of our nation is, a faith that isn't ultimately honored. So I'm going to vote for Mr. Barr because he made a personal commitment to at least pursue a process that can create the opportunity for a Hispanic American to be considered. There's no guarantees that that person would be appointed, but to create a process which the Federal Reserve itself should adopt as a whole in order to break this century-plus period of time in which no one from our community, despite a $2.3 trillion domestic marketplace, ultimately has a say in.
I take the constitutional role of advise and consent seriously, as you know, and as you and I have talked. I will continue to work with you on this, and President Biden has been very open to suggestions from members of this committee, and we will continue to aggressively move in that direction. I